uh, my Facebook Live, which is Relationship Saturday with Sean Smith. We are talking about enhancing, building, developing, growing better relationships every day. So, welcome wherever you are in the world. Great to be with you today. The challenge, of course, is right now everybody is sort of stuck in their homes to one level or another. I noticed the neighbors. I think the wife must chase the husband out every now and again. The old man has to take a walk and venture away from the house or go and sit outside. And they got a big house, but I think it's just the challenge of relationships being all thrown together right now in a time when our freedoms have been limited, and so our relationships tend to find its cracks. It's like when you're thrown together and there's no escape kind of thing. There's no like relief, no walking away at any time unless you go to other sides of the house and sulk. There's no kind of relief. You have to deal with it, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe right now is the superficiality that's grown into relationships over time, and the value that we've placed upon relationships has actually diminished tremendously. And that one relationship that is so important, or in fact the few, which would be your spouse and your children. Of course, if you're all alone at home, it's a different story, and then you still need to be working on those relationships. So relationships are a critical element within any context, and so whether it's in a crisis situation or whether it's in a pressured situation, a stress situation, just normal life, daily busy, stressful life, daily activities, daily routines, the mundane of life. Relationship needs to trump it all. It needs to be the priority in everything. We tend to ignore and neglect those areas, and that's when there can be that breakdown in relationship. Of course, my whole approach, I'm sharing these ideas every week with you on Relationship Saturday, simply to inspire, to encourage, to just give you thinking about areas that you can work on, like I do every day on the Leadership Boost podcast. And you're welcome to subscribe, follow, share, and give a review on the Leadership Boost on iTunes or Spotify or Google Podcasts. I'm on 11 platforms with the podcast. And every day I try and share a little thought, a little idea, an inspiration, something that you can alter, something that you can think about, a principle, a point to register within the context of your life and your leadership that you can alter and just take you to fulfilling your greater potential or moving you towards higher performance. Whether you are, whatever your role is, whether you're a CEO, C-suite, whether you are manager, supervisor, working from home, running virtual teams, whether you're a mom and a dad or a student, everybody leads in some form or fashion. But today we're talking specifically about relationships, about your relationship specifically with your spouse. And because not two connections. You got to forgive me. I just talk, and so my grammar doesn't always fit together because my brain moves faster than my words. So you understand, I'm coming from a place where I used to stammer and be very nervous, not talk to anybody, and now I just jump on live, doing live presentations, speaking, all over the place, and so it's been a huge transition for me over the years. Anyway, that's just me. All right, so Relationship Saturday. The thing about it is that for me, one of the things that I often think about when it comes to relationships is we plan the wedding, which is an event, and that's a one-day event, an important event, a great celebration, a wonderful time of family, friends, to witness the union of two people, the joining together of two people. But we never plan, we never build, we never work towards the growth and development of a marriage, which is a lifetime. That is sort of left to whatever happens. We get our licenses for a vehicle, to drive a vehicle, and we have to pass exams, etc., to drive that vehicle. We have to pass exams, we have to plan, we have to do what's necessary to learn the skills of what's necessary to do, to fulfill our career, to fulfill our job roles. We have to learn those skills and competencies. And yet when it comes to one of the most important fabrics of our society, the most important part of your life, and when it goes wrong, it's the most stressful part of your life, which is your marriage. And we need to pay attention to that area as well. So that's the premise that I work from. I do a coaching process with people. I take them on a journey of 3 months and work through and talk through various issues, because I feel like one of the most important areas is communication. If you don't communicate within the context of anything, any relationship, you are not going to make it. And of course, today we're talking about your relationship, how important your relationship actually is. And the thing that I want to share today briefly is relationships grow better when we understand each other. It's a simple truth. And it's a simple truth that the author, Dr. Gary Chapman, actually presented. He basically has summarized that everyone gives and receives love differently. But with a little insight into these differences, we can be confidently equipped to communicate love well. This is true for all forms of relationship, for married or dating couples, for children, teenagers, for friends, co-workers, for long-distance relationships, for those brand new loves, and for the romances that are older than the hills. No matter who you are, you can and you need to grow your relationship when you by understanding each other better. And so today I thought, just briefly, something that everybody's probably heard of and probably seen, probably knows about, is the 5 love languages. And people have read the book, and I want to encourage you to get the book, because it's really insightful to discover the 5 love languages that help you understand the person. It's not all encompassing, but it definitely helps you to fix some of the areas when you understand your spouse, when you understand how your spouse communicates basically beyond words, how they communicate beyond words, and how they receive communication. In communication, there are 6 approaches to communication. We should do a workshop on that sometime. Hey, if you think you'd like to do a workshop on these 6 approaches to communication, 6 approaches to communicate, give me a yes in the 6 yes. Put a 6, just put a 6 in the comments below if you would like to have a workshop on the 6 approaches to communication. But today I briefly just want to mention the 5 ways, the 5 love languages that Dr. Chapman talks about. Number 1 is the words of affirmation. How do you communicate words of affirmation? You encourage, you affirm, you appreciate, and you listen actively. Not passively, but you listen actively. So you're present, you listen carefully to what is being communicated. What can you do? You send an unexpected note, a text, a card, a love letter. Write something on their mirror in the bathroom, put it in their lunchbox as they go to the office on the other side of the house to go and work at this point in time. What you need to avoid is not recognizing or appreciating effort, not appreciating them. Also, avoid criticism, judgment, avoid jumping to conclusions and saying things that would hurt and be ugly. All right. So number 2 is physical touch. Physical touch is non-verbal use of your body language and touch to show love. So non-verbal. Some people, some people are really thrive. They let's go back to one. Some people just need to be affirmed. They just need that affirmation. They need to hear, I love you, I miss you, I'm thinking of you, even if it's just across the room. Some people need to hear that. Some people need to hear that they are valued. Some people need to have that encouragement. You're doing a great job. Thank you for helping always around the house. Thank you for thinking about me. That goes so much further than criticism and sarcasm and judgment and condemnation. Avoid that kind of area, because what you're going to do is, not once, but over time, it begins to erode on the relationship, on trust, on communication specifically. And when you break down trust, when you break down communication, you break down trust. And when you break down trust, you break down more communication, you break down intimacy, you break down and walls of defense come up. And so you want to keep that affirmation, those words of affirmation, always in keeping it positive. Encouragement, affirmations, appreciation. And then, of course, also is listening. Active listening, purposeful listening is vitally important, because that shows I'm interested in you. Number two, of course, we're talking about physical touch. And physical touch, some people need to be touched. They just, your spouse needs it. They need you to walk past them and just touch their hair, touch them on their back, touch their shoulders, touch their hand, hold their hand, give them a hug. Often, that it's very important to them. They thrive on that. They come alive on those kind of touches. That could be hugs and kisses and cuddling and sexual intimacy. Those are important aspects to them. They need that. Just because you don't, doesn't mean they don't. And so that's where you love them with more touch, because you understand they need it. Physical of things that you should avoid is physical neglect, is what I'm talking about, or abuse. The physical touch there is not abuse. It's not being physical with them. So that is a vital element as well, is to understand if your spouse who needs physical touch. What about receiving gifts? Thoughtfulness, making them a priority, giving them gifts. And it can be something as small as a flower, something small as something you make, something that you see in the store, is just something thoughtful that you can give to them. Of course, it's a little difficult now. Maybe you need to do it Amazon, but it takes a while to get to you now. But give thoughtful gifts and gestures. Express gratitude when receiving gifts. So, somebody whose love language is gifting, they love to give and they love to receive. So think about that. When, the thing to avoid in this is unenthusiastic gift receiving. Don't, oh, well, is this all it is? Or not really my thing, or something like that. Be enthusiastic about every gift, because to them, it's their love. It's their way of expressing love and communicating love. And of course, forgetting special occasions. Husbands in this area, very important. But, if you're a busy person in busy leadership role, oftentimes you can forget these important dates and important occasions, and therefore forget to communicate that form of love. Quality time is another one. Number 4 is quality time. So that is uninterrupted, focused conversations, one-on-one time as a priority, one-on-one time as a priority, having time where you're just talking to each other. And again, some people need that. They need that communication where they can process things, they can discuss things, they can share their heart, share their thoughts, and you got to give time for that. So what do you need to do? You need to create special moments, take walks, do small things with them, allow them to process, allow them to express themselves, and have that quality time with you, where it's not just about conversation, but it's also just about having time together. doing things together, where there's no distractions, no interruptions, no yeah, well, no phone, no computer. It's just focused on them. And of course, what you need to avoid with this is distractions when spending time together, long time without one-on-one time. So don't be distracted, like I say. And secondly is, don't neglect those times together where you have just sit down and have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee together. Sit down on the balcony, or just look out the window and just be together, hold hands. And well, if physical touch is not a big deal, but I think physical touch is important. I always tell people when they're getting married, the one thing you need to do is always, when you go to bed, make sure you're touching. If it's just a foot, a knee, a hand, touching is important, because it just communicates, I'm still connected to you, you're still valuable to me. So very important. Number 5, lastly, is acts of service. Let them know you're wanting to help, to lighten their load. Do things. They say now, the list that men have been putting off for months and months and months, now suddenly they've got all the time in the world to do it. They've got to get stuff done. You're seeing houses, rooms, gardens being transformed, because gardens are looking amazing, pristine, because people got nothing else to do. They focused on doing that. There's no, they get bored of watching TV, bored of, they can't run around, go visit friends, get out, escape. They just got to stay focused. So they're doing things. And I'm sure wives are loving that right now, and vice versa. So let them know you're wanting to help, get involved, do things, make them breakfast, dinner. It could be go out of your way to help with around the house. That is an act of service. The thing that you need to avoid is lacking follow through on small and large tasks, and actually completing it, saying yes, 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 and never getting to it. So those are your 5 areas vital to love languages, and vital to understanding that these areas, and you probably know them, but this is just by way of reminder, just to think about these areas again, these 5 very important areas that every relationship experiences. And when you want to grow a better relationship, then understanding, the whole point of today is that you need to understand, whether it's the 5 love languages or just taking time to understand your spouse is vitally important. And communication is, in all of this, communication is important. You won't know their love language if you're not communicating with them, and they won't know yours if you're not communicating with them. So take the time to understand them, take the time to communicate with them, and the same goes, I mean, as the introduction said, it's like, whether it's true for all forms of relationship, for married, dating couples, for children, teenagers, for friends, for associates, partners, in team members, for long distance relationships, for brand new loves, and for romances that are older than the hills. That's the introduction. So no matter who you are, it's just like, no matter where you are and what relationship sort of factor you find yourself in, understanding people, the relationships around you, understanding people around you, vital and important. Okay? So, and lastly, let me encourage you is, wherever you are, a healthy aspect of this time right now is communicating with people. Take the time to talk to people outside of the home. And I've said this before, is, hop on a Zoom call or a messenger call, or a WhatsApp, but do it video, not just a phone call, video, eye-to-eye contact. And not just people that you're comfortable with all the time, but talk to the people that you haven't spoken to for some time. Just check on them, say how you doing, what's happening in your life, and give them a chat, and it's good for your social health, for your mental health, for your sanity, is just talking to people. And if you're anything like me, it's easy for me to to just get quiet, I sit behind my computer, do live broadcasts, etc. But live interaction, I mean, I'm talking, I don't even know who's on the new Facebook platform. I don't even know who's watching, who's not watching, who's listening, who's not listening. But, you know, so I'm just talking and sharing my thought for the day. But it's important because, you know, to have that one-on-one interaction, so to actually talk to people. And I've enjoyed contacting my friends, you know, being in touch with them, and I have to work at it, because for me it's easy to just withdraw and do this. It's easy, but for my sanity, for my social health, for my communication abilities, for growing good relationships, for staying in touch with where people are, I need to talk to people. So do you. And hey, if you need to process something, if you've got concerns about your relationships, then hey, pop over to Sean's Leadership Mentoring, my Facebook page, Sean's Leadership Mentoring, and there's a link somewhere on my page, on this page, and you can find a book now button. It sounds terrible, but I've got people trying to contact me all the time. So if you just, you know, book a time with me, it will be great to hop on a call, even for 10 minutes, and just say, hi, how are you? We can do that if you want to book a call with me and just say hi, you know. And specifically, I mean, you know, a lot of people want to say hi. And so I've got people from all over the world wanting to say hi, and I can't answer everybody's hi. But if you specifically want to process things in your relationships, that's what I'm here for. I help you process things and deal, you know, overcome challenges, work with behavior, work with perspectives that you need, you know, shifting. If you're struggling in some area, then let's talk about it. You know, we can always find a way, you know, a solution to a problem, and find a way to kick off and initiate good communication for you as well. So don't stay isolated, mad, frustrated, irritated, going crazy where you are. Talk to somebody. All right? So from Sean, this is Relationship Saturday. Until next time, it's over and out. Thank you for being with me.